my god, my cup is so full. Hi everyone! We're here to talk some more about Tribe 9 lore. We're streaming here on twitch.tv/hammylime, where we're gonna have one big stream for chapter 3, but I'm gonna be splitting this up into 3 different videos for YouTube, just like what I did with chapter 2. And tonight we're gonna talk a little bit more about Tribe 9's anime, and then we're gonna have one video to talk about the chapter 3 background and story, and then the last video is gonna be to talk about the chapter 3 lore in theory. And just like last time, the lore video is gonna be the big one. So a quick little refresher on the story of this series as a whole. So it takes place in Neo Tokyo, which is modeled after the real Tokyo. And there is a magic in the air which allows people to have superhuman capabilities, but it also makes them violent. The government instituted this law of extreme baseball that the people have to participate in instead of engaging in violence. So people have formed like baseball teams for XB, which are named after the cities that they reside in. So the Minato tribe resides in Minato City. Now this anime in particular revolves around the Minato tribe, which has a very famous individual in it, Shun Kamiya, one of the strongest XB players in all of Neo Tokyo. And within the anime, 2 twins join up very early on to kind of work under Shun Kamiya and receive his guidance and basically get a little bit stronger, right? In the background, we have the villainous Chiyoda Tribe, who has their little super soldier, Ojiro Otori. Oh my gosh, look at him. He's right there. Hi, Ojiro. Hi. There he is. Actually, maybe I'll let them have their little voices this time. Maybe they won't disturb me. We'll see how disruptive their little voice lines. We'll see how disruptive their little voice lines are going to be today. Okay. There's my little cursor. There he is. Hi. Okay. So Ojiro Otori goes around to all of the different cities and starts strong arming all of the other tribes into domination. So that the Chiyoda tribe can rule over all of Neo Tokyo. And Ojiro Otori eventually makes his way over to the Minato tribe, where the Minato tribe loses against him, and ultimately the leader, Shun Kamiya, passes away. So the Minato tribe falls into rock bottom, and they kind of have to pick themselves up over the course of the anime so that they can re-challenge Ojiro Otori, take him down, and stop the domination of Neo Tokyo. If you want to go and get into like more detail about the specifics of the anime, you should look at the part 1 video. I go like more in depth about the actual story synopsis there. The part 1 video focused a lot more on the actual Minato tribe. This time I want to focus a little bit more on the other tribes that appear within the anime and focus a little bit more on the Chiyoda tribe. So, the other tribes that appear within the anime are the Setagaya tribe, the Shinagawa tribe, the Adachi tribe, and the Taito tribe. And there's also the Ota tribe, but I'll talk about that one a little bit later. So, let's go through them. So the Shinagawa tribe, y'all should recognize them from the part 1 video. These divas right here, Yutaka Gotanda and Miss Minami Oi. So they challenged the Minato tribe in order to show off their XP gear, because the Shinagawa tribe, they're focused on technology and making all sorts of cool gear for XB. The Adachi tribe, these 3 over here, led by Hyakutaro Senju. Hyakuichi Taro is in the game, and he is the younger brother of the leader, Hyakutaro. So these 3 don't actually appear within the game. They were definitely going to appear within the game, but we never got around to getting to Adachi City. The Adachi tribe, they are the first ones who go after the Minato tribe after Shun Kamiya's passing, basically to kind of like slap them silly and be like, you guys gotta pick yourselves up, like you're being ridiculous. So the Adachi tribe, they are kind of like vigilante thugs. You know, they also go after Ojiro Otori directly. They don't wait for him to come after them. They do get their ass cheeks completely clapped by Ojiro. For the Danganronpa girlies out there, you can think of the Adachi tribe as like Mando Owada from Danganronpa 1. Like, that's the kind of energy that the Adachi tribe gives off. Then we have the Setagaya tribe, which is this diva here, Eiji Todoroki, who has all of his cunty little poses in the game, but in the context of the anime, he is a lot more of a foul individual. He is the epitome of a nepo baby rich boy who thinks he can buy whatever he wants. You know, in the anime, he has this big luxurious mansion and all of his servants are girls in bathing suits. That's all you really need to know about him. He wants to steal the treasure of the Minato tribe, which is Shun Kamiya's personal XB bat called the Beam Bat. So Eiji is a little bit of an antagonist in the anime, but he comes back as a little bit more of a protagonist in the game. Then we have the Taito tribe. These two cunty boys right here. Their names are Yajirobe Ueno and Hanafuda Sakura. So they did not get their opportunity to appear in the game, but I will tell you right now, chapter 5 of this game was supposed to be Taito City. So these two cunty boys right here were going to be the main characters of chapter 5. So I will have a video to cover the story of chapter 5, even if I'm not going to have any game to cover for them. So we'll get to talk about these two boys a lot more at that time. Now, let's talk about the most important tribe of the anime, except outside of the Minato tribe, right? The Chiyoda Tribe, Mr. Ojiro Otori himself. There he is down here. There's little Ojiro Otori right there in the game. But then here he is, Mr. Ojiro Otori within the anime. We've talked about him a lot. I don't know how many times I've said Ojiro Otori already just tonight. But let's talk about the other divas of the Chiyoda Tribe. Let's talk about this raggedy old man. This is Tenshin Otori. He was the former leader of the Chiyoda tribe. So one of the big plot lines of the anime was the concept of the Chiyoda tribe making a super soldier. Ojiro Otori is kind of like a super soldier for them. And this project was spearheaded by Tenshin because he is the one who wanted to be, you know, the king of all Neo Tokyo and rule over all of Neo Tokyo with an iron fist. So that's why he wanted to create a super strong puppet for his use. To that end, he sponsored this little orphan program where he would have orphans fight each other, and the one who comes out on top is the one who would be the super soldier. Now, Ojiro is the one who ultimately comes out on top, but in reality, Ojiro is actually Tenshin's blood son. Like, I realized that little detail as I was investigating the lore of this chapter. Ojiro himself wasn't actually an orphan. He actually is kind of the crown prince of Neo Tokyo. So I need to clarify something here because I'm actually not 100% certain anymore if Ojiro is actually Tenshin's blood son or if he really is just another orphan picked up off the street. I'd like to think that yes, he is his blood son, but I've been seeing some like conflicting evidence here and there, so I can't say with 100% certainty whether he really is or not. But his friend Kazuki Aoyama, who is part of the game, we talked extensively about Kazuki Aoyama in the chapter 2 lore video. He was an orphan who basically participated in that program because he was besties with Ojiro, and ultimately he was Ojiro's final opponent, lost, but instead of losing his life, his arm was just broken instead. And that spearheaded a lot of the plotline of the anime because Kazuki then goes to the Minato tribe to help beef them up so that they can take on Ojiro and Kazuki can then get his revenge. Tenshin's plan backfired on him because he instilled the super soldier mentality into Ojiro too hard. And so in the end, Ojiro's sense of justice became severely warped because of that traumatic experience of having to fight so many other kids. So in the end, in Ojiro's mind, he believes that raw strength and being on the front lines is the most important thing of all. So to him, seeing Tenshin, who likes to sit in his castle and rule over all of Neo Tokyo from the luxury of his castle, to him, Tenshin is like a rat. And he believes that Tenshin is just not worthy of his position as king of Neo Tokyo. And so that's why he commits murder and takes the role of king away from Tenshin. And it's after Ojiro takes the role of king from Tenshin that he alters the XB law to allow violence in XB, because in his eyes, all of Neo Tokyo is weak. The fact that he could dominate everyone means that everyone is weak. And so he believes that he can make Neo Tokyo better by basically making everyone go through the same experience that he did, going through a bloodbath instead of an XB match, and ultimately the people who come out on top will be extremely powerful individuals. So Ojiro is a very gray antagonist in that regard, because his motivations are technically positive. He wants to improve Neo Tokyo. It's just that the trauma he's experienced has warped his worldview so much that the way he believes he can make the world a better place is really at odds with what the general public believes to be a better place. Do you know what I mean?
You know.
So I do like the way they painted Ojiro Otri, you know, as this seemingly soulless individual with a lot of emotion and heart to him. Because we see a lot of that going on with this little diva right here, okay? We cannot deny the little sickening pink wig of this Miss Diva with her middle part. Okay? Miss Yui Kamiki. Remember that name. Yui Kamiki. She is really the snake rat antagonist of the anime, the sort of real main primary antagonist. Like Tenshin, she likes to engage in a lot of underhanded techniques to propel the Chiyoda tribe forward to domination. She kind of, I don't know if I would say she was the right-hand man of Tenshin, but she was kind of like, when Ojiro took over, she continued her role as someone very high up in the Chiyoda tribe. But ultimately, because of the way she does things, she too clashes with Ojiro Otori. One of the snakest things she does is that she sees that Kazuki is a part of the Minato tribe now. She obviously knows. She obviously knows who Kazuki is. Like, she obviously knows about the whole orphan project to create the super soldier, so she knows who Kazuki is. And when she sees him, she brings in the Ota tribe. And the Ota tribe, they're some raggedy little ragamuffins, and she hires them as assassins to kill Kazuki. She's the trope of the pretty girl with a disgustingly nasty personality hiding behind her. At the end of the anime, Ojiro Otori ultimately re-challenges the Minato tribe to sort of like a final battle, and that is come to be known as the Chiyoda battle. And it's in this battle that Ojiro finally learns of all the nasty things that Yui Kamiki has done, and he basically tells her, get out. I don't want anything to do with you. If you stay around, I'm gonna kill you just like how I killed Tenshin. Get out. And she does not take that very well, mama. Because you know what she does? She gets out a gun and shoots him. And then she does something extraordinarily unhinged. Now, I forgot to mention this earlier. So I mentioned how Tenshin likes to sit inside of his castle, right? But what I forgot to mention is that the castle floats. So something quirky about Chiyoda City is they have this weird floating technology, and they touch upon this in the game a little bit, so we'll talk about that more then. But Chiyoda Castle, the stronghold of the Chiyoda tribe, she floats in the sky, honey. And during the Chiyoda battle, Miss Yui Kamiki, because she was so pissed off at Ojiro Otori, she decides to send that fucking thing to the ground. Now you can imagine a giant castle falling down from the sky is not a very good thing. It causes a lot of mayhem and destruction. It ultimately causes the end of the Chiyoda battle. And it's because of the fall of this castle that the general public believes Ojiro Otori to be dead. They think he was buried in the rubble of the castle, even though the reality is that he was rescued by Kazuki Aoyama, and ultimately Kazuki helps him start a new life so that Ojiro can try to make amends with all of the bad things that he does. Kazuki finally manages to get through to Ojiro, and Ojiro basically accepts defeat. He accepts that the Minato tribe defeated him. Short and sweet, y'all. That wasn't short and sweet at all. I think this video is gonna be even longer than the part 1 video, but we needed to talk a little bit more about the anime in order to be able to understand the rest of chapter 3. So thank you everyone for watching this video. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. Bye.